All right, so here I am. I'm broadcasting some of these peas, and what I'm actually doing, try and be able to show you here. This year I'm using Livingston seed. I really would love to be able to do all organic and heritage. Whoops, I just spilled some of those Livingston peas. I'd really love to be able to do all organic, and there are some companies that I just love, like Seed Treasures out of Minnesota, and Baker's Creek, of course, is awesome. I'm sure some of you are familiar with those companies. Anyway, but this year I just can't. It's simply a financial issue. They cost a little bit more, and I just can't do that right now. So anyway, I am using Livingston seed, which is just found in one of our local stores. Baumgart's is what we have for a farm store around here. And so I've got about 1.5 pounds of seed is what I'm planting for peas. Really, we could probably plant about 3 pounds of peas a year in order to feed our family, but I don't usually get that much done. We do try to plant or raise about 75% of our own food, and we do pretty darn good with that. So no shame in planting a little over 1.5 pounds of peas, because I think that's really good that we're able to do that. I love to garden, and as the videos go on, you will see more of my family, I'm sure. But to start out, it's probably going to be me, because they're a little camera shy. We are going to try something a little bit different, as I said, with the peas. And so not only am I seeding them in a way that is different than we normally do, but I'm also putting them in the ground a little bit different than we normally do. So what I did yesterday, when I was working on the area down here, is what I'm doing right now. And I had a piece of wood here actually to mark, just like this, where I had left off, so I knew where to start again this morning. And then I've got that much to go on this run, on this little pea patch. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting the seeds out, and then very simply I just have a little stick here, and I am poking them in the ground, each one just a little bit into the ground. This is not there we go, the stick I had yesterday. I'm just poking them down into the ground. Our soil is really wet right now. My mom and dad were saying that dad had to dig a hole on their farm place, and it literally was filling up with water. So the hole that he was digging, I believe mom said, was like 7 by 7 and then about 5 foot deep, and it literally was filling up with water because the water table is so high in our area of the country. You're also going to notice we have a lot of garbage around here, and unfortunately that happens sometimes when you move to a farm place that has been around for a long time, because I don't know, it just seems like it used to be they burned all their garbage, and we do burn what can be burned, but I don't know, sometimes you run into farm places that just weren't as neatly kept, and the folks that had this before us, I don't mean them, I just mean that over the years. So anyway, every time it rains, there's Miss Kita. Every time it rains, we seem to have more and more refuse that surfaces. So as I said, I'm just going to poke these in the ground, because otherwise I think that I would be spending a lot more time that I really don't have right now. And also, she's so sweet, by doing this, I'm hoping, as I said, it will save me some time. And because of the amount of water that we have right now, that's the very top of the soil looks dry, but that's because the wind was blowing yesterday and today. You don't have to dig down very far, and it's just really sticky, and yeah, I just don't think that would be ideal. So we're going to try this and see how it works, and maybe I'll find that it saves me some time. So as I am just poking those down like I was showing you earlier, here we go. It really just is very quick. Now, granted, running a row with a hoe does not take a lot of time either, but I'm just trying to try something a little bit different. And I don't know, the next patch that I do when I move to the next spot, which will be yet this afternoon, maybe I'll try traditionally running the string and the hoe with that like I normally would, but we're going to see how this works. Yes, I do take lots of notes when I am gardening. I have a 3-ring binder that I've had for many years, and I keep track of everything in that. I keep track of how much I can, how much I dehydrate, what the dates that I plant things. And for one thing, it's a very, I don't know, enjoyable thing for me to look back at year to year and see how things have changed and how the weather affected things. And I get a real sense of accomplishment by doing that too. So I love to have the records of it. So anyway, I encourage you to do that too. Every year I set a canning goal. When I am planting the garden, I decide how much we're going to need on things. So for example, the last 2 years, my goal has been to do 1,000 jars. Most of them are quartz because we have a pretty good sized family. But some things we prefer to put in pints, so it depends on what the products are. I have met that goal of 1,000 jars, or just within a couple of meeting that every year, and we really do eat out of our pantry. So we'll go ahead and do that again this year. And for right now, I just need to get planting peas. I really started second guessing the amount of time that it was taking to try my experimental planting of the peas. So I went and grabbed this little machine, which I love. When the soil has been worked up at some point, or in the gardens where the soil is not compact, this works fabulous. So I grabbed it, and my broken hoe, which has got left out over the winter, I'm sorry to say. So it needs oiled and sanded and oiled, and needs a little bit of work. But I did end up going back to planting 4 rows here so I can reach into it like a raised bed, and that really did go a lot faster. As you can see, I was not particular about the spacing of the peas. I just was trying to hurry, and the rows are not necessarily real straight either, and that's okay with me. As I've said, I feel like I'm in a race against the weather, and so I just need to fast forward and keep going. So far, I have less than a half a pound planted of peas, and I've got a ways to go. So I better keep at it. Okay, so we're on to our third way to plant peas. As you can see, I used a hoe, and I've got peas down in each row that I have pulled with the hoe. Now, the third way that we're going to do peas today is Luke's helping me now, and we're going to try this cedar that was actually my grandpa's, and our son Lane found it out in the shed. He was living at my grandparents' place for a while, and now he lives closer to where he farms. But when he lived there, he found this in the shed and brought it to me for Christmas because he knows how much I love to garden. So Luke and I are going to try this and see how it works. So Luke, let's give it a go. So the reservoir, this is our first time, but the reservoir has pea seed in it. It's being picked up by that wheel, the little disc there, and dropped down into a little tube on the other side, which I'll show you. And then underneath, it makes a row, and then the chain covers it up, and the back wheel, don't run into, there you go. The back wheel is actually pressing it down. So Luke, if you lift it up so we can look at that a little bit more. Yeah, I think it's working. Okay, so we've got a pulley on here that keeps everything moving. As the front wheel moves over here, it's turning the pulley, which then makes, let me see here, sorry. Okay, so then this disc moves, and it's picking up the pea seeds, as you can see, and then it's dropping them up here into this part. They fall down all the way down into here. And then this, which is the front, is making way for the seeds to come in. They're dropped down in there, and then this chain is following behind, and that is covering up the seeds that have been dropped, and that back wheel then is actually patting the seeds down. I think we might have found a winner on the best way to plant pea seeds.